Have you ever heard about Falcon 9 B-1058? Yes, the most flown rocket booster. This was the iconic booster of NASA. It had launched and landed more than anything else. The NASA logo doesn't appear that easy on the rocket boosters, but it did appear on the SpaceX rocket booster. This is the only booster with the NASA logo. So now you must be curious to know why Falcon 9 B-1058 is important. But now the history is on the ocean floor. During its return voyage to Port Canaveral in central Florida, the SpaceX Falcon 9 B-1058 first-stage booster toppled over and broke in half. This video will help you understand more about the iconic booster, Falcon 9 B-1058, and what happened to it. If you are as curious as me, let us dive in, guys. SpaceX company was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk. It is famous for launching advanced rockets and spacecraft. It is the first private company to develop a liquid propellant rocket that has reached orbit. It is also the first company to achieve a vertical propulsive landing of an orbital rocket booster. And to reuse such a booster, this booster gained importance in NASA and even has the logo of NASA on it. This booster is very well maintained. Your jaw might have dropped if you had seen the worm and meatball on this rocket booster. The first flight of this booster was on May 30th, 2020. The spacecraft named Endeavour was launched on this Falcon 9 B-1058 rocket. In this mission, it carried NASA astronauts Douglas Harley and Robert Bainkin to the International Space Station. It was Crew Dragon Demo 2. It was followed by Anasis 2, which was launched in July. It was a Starlink launch. Then the next was a cargo transport to the space station. It became very famous for launching Starlink satellites into orbit. The second last flight of this booster was on November 4th. After 49 days, it was ready to launch another Starlink satellite. If we calculate the total number of flights, we can say that it completed 19 flights and launched a total of 260 tons. I know, guys, this is insane. You must have been wondering what happened to this famous Falcon 9 B-1058 booster. Well, on the way back to the port, it encountered heavy seas. This booster was coming from its record-breaking 19th mission when it had its fatal fall. The weather reports have stated that the swell would have been 10 to 20 feet high. The booster was very well secured by using an octograbber and was also tightly tied to the deck. Even though it was secured, it couldn't withstand the heavy waves. Because of this, the booster toppled over and got broken in half. It broke just above the bulkhead of the oxygen tank. If you take a look at the photographs of this booster, you will understand how fatal this accident was. And from this, we can also understand that only the bottom section of this booster remained after this accident. 3 of the 4 legs of the booster can be seen after this, and all 9 of the Merlin engines are still intact. When we look at the booster's parts closer, we can see intriguing scuff marks on the engine's nozzles, which might have happened because of their exposure to exhaust gases during landing. When you take a look at the telescopic section of each of the legs, you will be able to see that the left leg is compressed. But it is not sure if this happened during the landing or if this occurred when this particular accident occurred. If the barge was unstable, then the leg of this booster might have hit the deck, caused damage, and compressed the leg of the booster. If this was the case, then this was not the first case. During the pre-octograbber days, one booster started to wander in the barge without having any control. The reason for this was also the hitting of one of its legs in the deck harder and made that compressed. While we look closer at the images of the booster, on the bottom left, we can see the latch point where the chain is attached. If you look at the picture, which is taken from another angle, you can see a few black composite overwrapped pressure vessels. This might be used to store nitrogen. This nitrogen might be stored for use in the reaction control thrusters for booster recovery. The helium pressure vessels are in the liquid oxygen tank. If you put compressed nitrogen vessels into the liquid oxygen tanks, then they will become really close to their liquefaction point. If you need to store this in the gas form, then it is not good to do this thing. We can even see the raceway that carries the electrical connections. At the bottom, we can see the pipe which carries the liquid oxygen through the fuel tank towards the engine section. If the booster got hit, then the post that is used to tie the chain should also be destroyed. But here we can see the post without any damage. How confusing is that? Maybe the booster fell to the right and missed this post, because when we take a look at the objects inside the booster, we will be able to notice that the things have moved to the right. This could mean the direction of the impact might be right. The surface of the booster is split and torn because of this accident. But we can also see some side of the surface of the booster shining, even though it had met with a terrible fall. If you look at the booster from another angle, you will be able to see the broken leg. Do not forget to note the top segment of the strung, which is actually sticking towards the side. The strunt might have broken while the booster fell. This accident raised many controversies among the experts. They criticized SpaceX for bringing the booster carelessly to the port. But the main thing we need to notice is that after the accident, the owner of this company, Elon Musk, shared a post on social media saying that the future is bright with a beautiful picture of the B-1058 landing. The head of the launch and recovery operation of SpaceX also shared a post saying they were super disappointed by hearing this news. He also stated why the booster can easily be toppled by the winds. Due to extreme landing conditions, the legs can become uneven. So when there are very harsh waves and wind, this can result in this type of accident. So securing these with the octograbber or OG is very challenging and will only be partially successful. Since SpaceX was aware of this type of accident, they introduced self-leveling legs in the boosters. But the B-1058 was old, and this lacked this feature. He also said, "One thing is for sure, we will make lemonades out of lemons and learn as much as possible from historic 1058 in our path to aircraft-like operations." SpaceX has also shared a post saying that this one reusable rocket booster alone launched to orbit 2 astronauts and more than 860 satellites totaling 260-plus metric tons in only about 3.5 years. The Falcon 9 B-1058 remains an outstanding achievement and has become a legacy in space exploration. The vice president of launch for SpaceX said that, considering the age of the Falcon 9 B-1058, it met its fate when it hit the intense wind and waves, failing a partially secured octograbber less than 100 miles from home. The new boosters that are developed by SpaceX have advanced landing legs designed for self-balancing. This will indeed prevent the accident just like the Falcon 9 B-1058 faced. The people from SpaceX also said that they will recover important parts and machines of this booster to collect more data to rectify their mistakes and also to create more advanced boosters. This booster has created history in space exploration. So now you may all know why and how the reusable Falcon 9 B-1058 booster became famous. This booster was indeed a game changer. SpaceX is on its way to creating more boosters that are more efficient than the B-1058 booster. If you enjoyed watching this video, please show us some love by smashing that like button and subscribing if you haven't already.